Good morning, guys. It is April 21st. It is a Tuesday. We're going to go ahead and crank out, go through some more of these notes. This is where we left off yesterday. We talked about the 4 different layers of the atmosphere. We talked about the troposphere, that's where we lived, the stratosphere, where the ozone layer is, the mesosphere, which is the coldest layer, and the thermosphere, that's where the aurora borealis, or the northern and southern lights, take place. Due to the interaction between solar radiation and the magnetosphere. It's a very beautiful phenomenon. If you ever get a chance to go someplace where you can see it, make sure you take advantage of that because it is quite gorgeous. All right, so we talked about air pollutants. We're going to get into more pollution today, talk about that. Like I said, weather conditions can make air pollution a lot worse. All right, so there are 2 categories of pollutants. There are primary contaminants and there are secondary contaminants. And a primary contaminant is any air pollutant that is toxic right out of the gate. So it's something emitted directly from a source. Forest fires, radioactive decay, dust, volcanic eruptions, anytime you're burning fossil fuels, all of that is primary contaminant. A secondary contaminant or a secondary pollutant is something that is not directly emitted from something, but it forms when those primary contaminants or primary pollutants get into the atmosphere and start going through chemical reactions. So ozone is not given off directly by car combustion, but when the products from combustion mix with things that are already in the atmosphere, it can create ozone smog. Also acid rain, which we've talked about in a number of other units. Acid rain is produced when fossil fuels are burned and those primary contaminants react with the other gases and water in the atmosphere, and it produces acid rain. So ozone and acid rain are 2 good examples of secondary contaminants. All right, the greenhouse gas effect. You've probably heard about this a lot anytime anybody's talking about climate change or global warming or anything along those lines. The greenhouse effect is where Earth's atmosphere acts like a greenhouse. So basically, it's like a blanket that traps heat. So that's the whole reason we use blankets to sleep at night. We cover up because we want to trap the heat in. Earth's atmosphere does the same thing. So the atmosphere reduces the escape of energy and traps heat in. But the more gases that are in the atmosphere, the more heat that they are going to trap. It's like the difference between a really thick winter blanket and just a light sheet. And certain gases cause more energy to be trapped than others. So methane in particular is a really bad one. CO2 is pretty bad. Normally, unless humans are interfering with everything like we like to do, the amount of heat or energy that escapes from our atmosphere is equal to the amount that enters. And the atmosphere acts like a nice little insulator. But human activities and other natural causes can change that balance, causing the atmosphere and the climate to heat up over the years, and that causes all sorts of other problems. All right, so there's a 2-part documentary here I would like you guys to watch. It's all about air pollution in China. Now, this was filmed, I believe, in 2012, and I think each part of the video is about 10 minutes, so it won't take you very long. But make sure you watch this, and I will ask your question of the day, one of the questions of the day from this video, 2-part video. Now, we've talked a lot about air. Now we're going to talk about water quality. We've talked about water quality in previous units, like the Streams and Rivers unit. But the United States Geologic Survey, that's the USGS, defines water quality as the measure of the solubility of water for particular use based on select physical, chemical, and biological characteristics. That just means water quality is measuring how good your water is, depending on what you're using it for. So the quality of your water can be very different if you're using it for agriculture versus if you're using it to drink and bathe. One term that you'll hear a lot is something called potable or potable water. If you guys ever go camping, a lot of campsites will have signs pointing you to potable water taps. That just means water that is safe to drink. So make sure if you're ever out hiking or if you're camping, I know a lot of you guys like to do outdoor stuff, make sure you are drinking from something that is a potable water source. That just means water that is safe to drink. All right, so the USGS and other water quality testing, the EPA, all sorts of other organizations will go through and test the water quality. And again, it depends on what you're using the water for, but some of the things they look for are the color. You don't want your drinking water to be brown. That's disgusting. They check for dissolved oxygen that's needed for aquatic life. They check for the hardness. That's just the amount of dissolved chemicals in your water. I know a lot of people, especially in sort of the surrounding Columbus area, have water softeners, especially if you live out kind of in the rural areas. That just means you have a lot of minerals, specifically calcium and magnesium, dissolved into your water. It's not unhealthy. It just can cause your plumbing to get clogged up over time. So people will install water softeners to prevent that from happening. They can measure the pH or how acidic or basic the water is. Suspended sediment, how much dirt and stuff is in there. The amount of salt, so they can check the salinity. And they can check what's called the turbidity, and that's just how clear, how far you can see into the water is the turbidity. All right, we'll call it a day there. Make sure you watch that documentary. I will post it under assignments, and that'll be that. Have a good one, guys.